Alright, what is up YouTube? Your boy Alan back with another video. I'm at a park in Taiwan, and in today's video I wanted to talk about what it's like growing up in a single mom household and how that has shaped me in what I do in my life and what I care about, specifically financially. So I grew up in a single mom household in the San Francisco Bay Area, and my dad, he passed away when I was 2, so that kind of left me, my mom, and my sister to support ourselves. Obviously we had a broader family that was supporting us as well, and at the time, right, my mom, she didn't have a college degree, but she was still working as an accountant at various companies. And I just remember growing up it being very stressful financially all the time, just because my mom, because she didn't have a college degree, she didn't have the opportunities to climb up in the corporate ladder easily. Also, being an Asian woman did not help as well, and we were always kind of pressed for money because single mom income, she had a mortgage to pay, 2 kids to support, and there was a lot of instability in our household because my mom would be in and out of jobs a lot as well. So that caused a lot of stress on our family growing up. And even though my mom was, money was always tight in our family, she always figured out a way to make sure we had a very active childhood, right? She wanted us to try different sports. She signed us up for art classes, she signed us up for tutoring classes, right? So she made a concerted effort that even though there was a financial constraint, that me and my sister would still have a very fulfilling childhood, and we wouldn't be bottlenecked by our situation, right? Even though my mom didn't have money, always have a lot of money to invest for the future, right? All her investments, any extra money she just put back into us, right? If we had extra money, right, that money would then be used to send us to sports camps, right? Alan's interested in baseball, let's send him to baseball leagues. Let's go, if he wants to get better at baseball, hey, let me get him a pitching coach, let me get him a hitting coach. And she did the same for my sister. Oh, Alan's struggling in math, let's get him a math tutor. He's struggling in school, let's just send him to a tutor, right? And she kept it equal between me and my sister. And so I never felt like, as a child, even though we were financially stressed and financially strained, I never felt like I was deprived of certain activities or interests I wanted to do in my life. My mom always prioritized that, and she wasn't able to save for her future, but she was investing in our future. And for that, I'm forever grateful, because reflecting back on it, I think life is hard. But imagine my mom, in a new country, no college degree, and her husband passed away. So there's always levels to it, and my mom is probably one of the strongest women I know. She's an incredible stamina. She never gives up, and that's something I admire a lot about her. And for me growing up, I wanted to play baseball, right? I was pretty solid at baseball, and there's this private Catholic school that I really wanted to go to pursue playing high school baseball at a competitive high school. It was Sarah High School in San Mateo. It's well known for, you know, Tom Brady and Barry Bonds, Lynn Swann. A bunch of these iconic athletes went to the school, and it was pretty expensive. It was around like $15,000 a year. And imagine like a single mom household, you know, she's probably making less than 100K a year, right? So that definitely caused a lot of financial strain, but she didn't waver. Like, she saw that I really wanted to do it, and she somehow made it work, right? I think she took a lot of credit card debt to be able to support my dream. She was working 2 jobs, and you know, it was not easy. Like, there was always a constant. My mom would always support us in all of our activities and what we did, right? Like, she'd pay the lessons. We want to try something, she'll send us to it. And even though that caused her a lot of financial stress, she was always down to do it because she just wanted to invest in us. And you know, like, after going through college, was able to graduate without any student debt because of her, and my sister as well. And you know, that was a big helping to me in my financial future. And you know, my mom, even though we were constrained at times, never made me feel like I was constrained in what I was able to do in my life, and I'm truly blessed for that. But I think that's also shaped me a lot in terms of how I think about things, right? I think in one of my prior videos, I shared that in all the jobs I take, I'm always optimizing for the highest pay, right? Regardless. That was what I was optimizing for, and I still do that to this day. But I'm thinking it through it differently now. But regardless of that, I feel like in my career I've been blessed to make a good, decent salary. I've been able to save at a really great rate. I have a lot of strong investments. I've returned really well. And you know, I still feel like even though I'm technically pretty financially secure, and if I wanted to, right, I could just move to like a country like Manila or Vietnam, and I could just live off my savings and for a cool while. But I still just have this urge to continue to keep going, right? Like, you know, my mom is getting older, we need to remodel things around the house, and from my childhood, like, just feeling always that feeling of financial strain, I'm hyper focused on building wealth and financial freedom for myself and to give back to my mom and the family. And that's why I feel like there's always, it's never going to be enough. And I also think that's like a human nature thing of the hedonic treadmill, where you reach a certain level and then it normalizes, and then you kind of get used to that feeling, and you're like, okay, what's more? That's also a natural human instinct. So I think a combination of being on the hedonic treadmill and then growing up in a single mom household where financial resources were always felt like they were constrained has put me in a mindset where I feel like I'm continuing to choose money over full freedom, right? And I think eventually I will get to that freedom point of view, but I also think a part of me still needs to, you know, go back to corporate and work, but I'm going to be more strategic about how I choose my next opportunity. But money is always on my mind. I think it's a common thought for a lot of people that maybe didn't grow up with money, but also the factor of continuing to, the American capitalism system always makes you feel like you need more. It might be different in other cultures where, you know, after a certain level, they're kind of satisfied, like, why do I need more money, right? But being American in the capitalist society, kind of, it creates this feeling that you always need more, because if you're not making more, then you're not succeeding in America, it feels like. And then there's like the concept of the hedonic treadmill I mentioned earlier, and then just growing up in a single mom household, right, where I was always under, you always feel that pressure, the financial constraint, and that's a feeling I never really want to have again. And that's why I'm kind of working towards those goals. Obviously right now I got laid off from my job and I've taken a 3 or 4 month break, like a mini sabbatical for myself, but I need to take a break for myself so I can truly reflect on my next steps in life, and then I can come back even stronger and recharged to get going. But that's kind of more on my background of what it's like growing up in a single mom household and how it's really shaped my thinking around building wealth and money and my mindset that I have to this day. So thank you for tuning into the Stream of Thought video. I will see everybody in the next one.